Hello and welcome to my video today. I have a new product in from Electrified Ocean. This is a cabin air filter, and these are different than the ones we've seen so far in that these now have charcoal. So I'm going to be opening them up, checking them out, and installing them in my Ocean. So let's get started. Here we have the box. I'm going to open it up. Inside we have two identical boxes here, and the filter is in a plastic bag, and it appears to be sealed. So I'm going to break the seal and remove it, and I'm going to put the other one out of the way. So let's have a look at this. We have on the front here, we have the airflow pointing down. Use for Fisker Ocean purchase at electrifyocean.com. And then we have the pull tab. And let's see what else we have here. As you well know, the cabin air filter has a 3-slot design so that there is the center section and 2 side sections, and there's a plastic separator that this has to fit into. So that's why it's split up like this. And otherwise, you can tell it has that darker coloring since it is a charcoal filter. Let's compare it to the OEM filter. I happen to have one right here. So let's compare the two filters. I'm going to show the front. I'm going to line them up, and you can see that they are identical width. They both have the airflow pointing down. The only difference I see on here, besides just the wording on here, is that the flap is on the top for the OEM versus on the bottom for the Electrified Ocean. Otherwise, you would insert them facing this way. So if you can read the words, that's how it gets inserted, because the airflow will be pointing down when you put it in the cabin air filter box. So let's put these on the side here and line them up. And you can see they're also identical in depth. Let's look at height here. Pretty much the same. So there we go. So otherwise, these filters are about as similar as you can get. However, the OEM filter here does not have anything extra for odor reduction, and that's where we get the charcoal. Charcoal will improve that. Also, let's see how many slats there are. I'm curious to see. Let me count those. All right, so the difference between them is that this one has 31 slots and this has 40 slots. Don't know if that makes much of a difference for the filtration, but from looking at it, the slats on this one seem to be thicker. So I think that's why it had to be less of them, because there's only so many you can fit if it is thicker material. So that's probably the biggest difference in the number of folds that you see. Otherwise, that's about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove my current filter, and I'm going to insert the new one, and I'll show you how that works. While I have done the cabin replacement video previously, I'm going to do it slightly different this time and also include some shortcuts for future filter changes. At this point, I need to remove the door threshold piece right here. You can use a plastic pry bar to help with that. Place it aside. Sometimes the clips from the trim panel get stuck down here, so you need to remove those. Next, we have to loosen the weather stripping that goes around here. So I'm going to pull that back. Then remove this trim piece right here. And also the one right here. We're going to use a short screwdriver with a T20 bit, and it is right here. In the future, if you want, you don't need to put this one back in place. There's enough clips in this panel to keep it in place. So if you want to save time for future cabin filter changes, leave this off, and you could then remove this piece without having to take off all of the side trim. Now gently pull on the piece right here. We are going to disengage all those clips and just pull it down like that. All right, so now we have access to the taco tray right here. There are 6 bolts that keep it in place. You need to remove those. Also with the same T20 bit screwdriver. Let me give you a close-up. So you have one here, one here, one here, 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 and there. With those 6 removed, you can now remove the taco tray. It will snap out of place. You may need to wiggle it a little bit. It will pull out. Place that aside. Now we need to use a long screwdriver, and I'm going to take that T20 bit off the other one and put it in this one. And we are going to remove the screw that is holding the cover on. Helps to have a magnetic tip on your screwdriver so you don't lose that screw. On either side of the cover here, there are clips that you press together. So I got one side. All right. So now the cover is loose. I'll take that out. And you can see the filter in here. So I am going to remove that. This was my handmade one. This is the Bosch version that I showed in a previous video. So I am going to remove that out of the way. Then we take our new filter. Make sure that it has the airflow pointing down. And now you're going to insert it into the opening. And make sure that when you do it, you get all 3 sections in. And it should slide in pretty easily since it is the same dimensions as the OEM filter. So you can see right there, it is all the way in place. Then we take the cover and make sure that the top of it has the screw opening, and then we'll place that into the 2 clips on each side. should snap into place. Now we're going to take the screw that we removed, carefully insert it into that opening. I can see it. There we go. And we will fully attach it. And you can stop when it's snug. At this point, I am done with the interior. Take the taco tray module and carefully insert it into the opening. Line it up and it should snap into place. There we go. And then reattach those 6 bolts in their original positions. At this point, we need to put this bottom trim piece in its original position. There are 3 clips along the bottom row, and then there are 5 clips along the top row. So you need to get this bottom row inserted first. So I am going to slightly bend on this and then just push into place. So get those in position right here. May have to push it a little bit. There we go. And now we can insert the rest of these. It may be easier. Let's get those in first. Push and then snap into place. This one here may be a little tricky. I find it easier to pull out the taco tray and then it will snap into place. And here we go. It's back in its original position. So if you want, leave the screw out here and then put all these trim pieces back in place. So in the future, if you want to replace the cabin air filter, all you need to do is remove this bottom piece right here. Should make it a lot easier for you to do. They all will snap into place, and then take the weather stripping and also put that in the original groove. And finally take the door threshold and insert that into the top clip right here. And then push. And all those bottom clips should pop into place. Well, there we go. I've unboxed and installed the Electrified Ocean.com new carbon cabin air filters for the Fisker Ocean. I hope this process is a little bit easier to follow than in my previous videos. I removed some of the extra steps that weren't necessary, and also keeping that screw out of the side corner will make it much easier in future replacements. I'll be testing out this filter over the next couple weeks and letting you know in a future video how it performs. If you're interested in this or any other item from the electrifiedocean.com website, I have the links in the video description. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.